Heading into 2024, it hasn't even been 18 months removed from the 2021 Phoenix Suns finals team. A franchise still seeking for its first title had their best opportunity over 30 years ago, only to be still haunted by the greatness of MJ, now haunted by the greatness of Doncic. Time in the NBA waits for nobody, especially in the player empowerment era. Unhappy superstars forcing ways to their preferred destination, still lots of uncertainty, so-called super teams looking like title favorites to struggling even maintaining the play-in picture, going all in on the injury-prone, declining Bradley Beal, somebody who plays similar to Devin Booker, looking like one of the worst decisions, pressuring 35-year-old Kevin Durant to log heavy minutes, from looking like a top 3 title favorite preseason to now an afterthought, reshaping its roster completely. Devin Booker remains the only Sun from the 2021 finals team after trading away Deandre Ayton to Portland. Not only did the team fail to make it back to the finals each of the last 2 seasons, but after winning a franchise best 64 wins only to get humiliated by the great Luka Doncic, giving up many valuable pieces for an older unhappy Kevin Durant, only for more injuries, dysfunction to follow. It hasn't been the smoothest of rise for franchise superstar Devin Booker. At the end of the day, it's his team looking to become the first great to lead Phoenix to its first championship, something Paul Westphal and Alvin Adams couldn't do in '76. Charles Barkley and Kevin Johnson came up short in '93. Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire never reached the finals. CP3 might have already been retired had he won that 2021 title. Heading into the new year, here's what happened to every member of the 2021 Phoenix Suns finals team. Starting with Chris Paul, now with Golden State, 38 years old, clearly lost a step in his game, came off the bench for the first time after 1,366 NBA games, the ultimate floor general the last decade and a half. No player appeared in more games and started them all, including the playoffs, providing the ultimate sacrifice. Now the third oldest player in the league behind PJ Tucker and LeBron. The previous time Paul didn't start a game, December 13, 2004 with Wake Forest. Career low average 8 points expected. His worst shooting season, just 39%, a hair under 8 dimes, 27 minutes played. If Golden State catches fire second half of the season, CP, a respectable name for 6-man candidate, he's far from that now. Assist to turnover ratio, second behind Tyus Jones, the most typical CP stat, played 27 of 30 games. Having many questioning whether Phoenix made a huge mistake using Paul as the scapegoat last season, missed time in the Nuggets series, to now having no bench after the KD trade. If Paul makes more impact with Golden State and ends up getting further than Beal in Phoenix for 2024, the Suns' risky move will blow up on them. Stuck with Beal's egregious contract, will Paul still owe $30 million for 2025? CP might just stick around till his body totally breaks down, now in full embrace mode as a bench guy going through the twilight of his career. Mikal Bridges of the Brooklyn Nets, the best player on a subpar team, too good to tank deep in the lottery, but not talented enough to compete with the best in the East. Perfect third option for any championship team, went on a tear after the trade, averaged 26 points over 18 shot attempts, last season 27 games with BK, but this season the 27-year-old respectable numbers, over 21 a game, still hasn't missed a single career game. Kind of in a weird spot. Brooklyn's nowhere near contention, having the chance to maximize his abilities on an average team, being the best player, with second best player 22-year-old Cam Thomas still ways away, now in a similar situation to Brook Lopez in 2016. A great player, but not a long-term future. His defense declined a lot, having more of an offensive load. Scoring-wise, Bridges more than capable creating his own shot, making between 20 to 25 million a year till 2026. Probably won't make the All-Star team, but deserves to be in the conversation. Cam Johnson of the Brooklyn Nets, also 27, turns 28 in March, was 23 as a rookie, instant contributor, but also reached his peak. The starting 4 with Brooklyn, not as good as Mikal, but contract very similar, signed 4 years, 108. One of too many good role players for Brooklyn, a career 40% three-point shooter, no different this season, 29 minutes a game. His role to a great team similar to Bridges, the two victims of the KD trade. Him and Mikal played a combined 642 games with Phoenix, fan favorites, respectable Nets, but stuck on a team with no true superstar, won't make much noise. Jae Crowder of the Milwaukee Bucks. The now 33-year-old clearly lost a step in his game. Great glue guy, especially his time with 2020 Miami and starting for the final Suns, an 11 to 12 point scorer, 6 rebounds a game, okay from 3, but an ugly tenure, refusing to suit up all last season. After falling to Dallas, elected to sit out till whenever he got traded, even with Cam Johnson out, still didn't bother suiting up. Already saw the writing on the wall after the 2022 defeat. I guess Luka humiliated the Suns franchise that badly. Crowder wanting to leave, CP aging, Ayton and Monty fed up, a depleted locker room, having knee issues, 2021 last time he was relevant as a big time role guy, his attitude feeling like he's bigger than the team turned off lots of Suns fans, an enforcer who can charge his teammates up and not afraid to get in opponents' faces or run from altercations, but when his streakiness at an all-time low in a contract year, wanting to raise his value. Last 3 Suns playoff games, lackluster 5.7 points, 26% shooting, much lower on D, ended up trading in the Durant 14 deal, only to find himself get limited playing time, 18 games, 4 postseason contests, 1.8 point average, the Miami series, no longer starting worthy. Ended up a 1-year vet minimum deal, out 2 months with groin injury. His time in the league with the Bucks appears to be coming to a close. Deandre Ayton of the Portland Trail Blazers, one of the least self-motivating players today. It's safe to say DA literally peaked in 2021 when hungry, with no ego, reminded everybody why he was the #1 pick. Back to being irrelevant now on a bad team, from fan favorite Coach Monty Williams challenging him to be better. The more the two spend time together, the worse the relationship gotten. DA absolutely has no dog in him, soft like charming, never the same after Luka backed him down game 7. One of the most frustrating players, the fact that he got in a max contract, even playing like doo-doo, super lazy. When having CP and Book set him up for easy buckets, little did the Blazers know, Ayton, without the luxury of having other star players to give him the ball, he stinks even more. Stone hands, lazy D, gives up, freezes on plays, no hustle, too much ego driven, benched by Jock Landale due to lack of effort, has no heart, can't handle criticism from teammates and coaches, doesn't like being confronted, one of the biggest wastes of talent, nothing more than just a role player, nowhere near a max guy. Could have still been on the Suns, but simply not on the same page with everyone. That's why they traded him for the inferior Jusuf Nurkic, one of those players who just coast the rest of his career. Absolutely shit the bed in the loss versus the Wizards, calls himself dominating. Then when game time comes around, he simply don't give a fuck. Cameron Payne of the Milwaukee Bucks. The 29-year-old resurrected himself after nearly being completely out the league, proved to be a solid backup, the only son who had any heart. Game 6 versus Denver, 31 points, good lasting impression, originally traded by the Suns so the team could sign Bo, more like Mr. No. Payne honestly could have been the starting point guard for Wemby. Waived September, picked up later by the Bucks 3 weeks later, a 16 minutes guy, 6 points a game. You bet him and Crowder having private chats, both teammates now with the Bucks, about their time in Phoenix. The two guys from the 2021 finals team with the highest chance in winning a title this season. The Suns absolutely miss his presence, believe it or not, having no other ball handler on the team when KD or Book sits and Beal's body breaking down. The 2023-24 Phoenix Suns still has no identity. Torrey Craig, team didn't resign him to save money. Now 33, off the bench with the Bulls, averaged 6 and 5 in 21 minutes, signed for 2 years, $5 million, can have a 16-point game and make good impact one night, followed by going 2 of 7, 5 points the next game. One of the more unlucky role players, originally with the Bucks, traded to Phoenix 4 months before his former team beat his Suns for the title, signed with the Pacers, only to be traded back to Phoenix, will be sidelined 2 months with foot injury, way too limited 2021 finals. Monty simply didn't want to give Craig a chance to build a wall against Giannis. Frank Kaminsky, now overseas in Serbia, the 30-year-old had his best hoops moment with Wisconsin, leading his Badgers all the way to the title game, getting the best of Jahlil Okafor, but a subpar NBA career, 8 seasons. Last played with the Houston Rockets, still a chance to come back, suffered a brutal knee injury months after the finals, ended up getting waived before the 2022 playoffs, picked up by Atlanta, only to be traded by the deadline to the Rockets. Only 45 total NBA games since playing with the final squad. Nothing more than a backup stretch big if he decides to come back. Dario Saric, a very useful role player for Golden State. The team wouldn't have won some of the close games without his impact. Very solid backup. 10.5 point average, 6 rebounds in 21 minutes, 40% from deep, high IQ, but team relying on him too much. Was the backup center under Ayton, but after going down in game 1 of the finals and the struggling DA getting torched by Giannis, Phoenix had no choice but to put Kaminsky out there. Having no answers, Saric missed the entire 22 season, traded for Darius Bazley, played 20 games with OKC before signing with the Dubs, age 29 now, playing the backup 5, good pick and pop option with CP, doing his part on a vet minimum, way better than Jae Crowder right now, a good IQ role player any team would love to have. Jae Crowder of the Chicago Bulls, extreme limited playing time as a 25-year-old, basically end of the bench with Phoenix, but improved significantly since, a lockdown defender with Chicago, shaky offense, okay shooter, signed 3 years, $19.5 million, after starting nearly half the games for the 23 Bucks, excelled playing alongside Drew Holiday last season. Carter not big enough to guard 6'6" wings, not a facilitator, all-around solid complimentary guy, reminds me of a poor man's Derek Fisher. Carter, very inconsistent outside shooter, ended up traded from Phoenix for the atrocious Landry Shamet, waived by Brooklyn before picked up with Milwaukee, already 6 NBA seasons in, playing for his 5th team, likely now in the middle of his prime. Given Milwaukee's terrible perimeter defense, the consequences losing Carter proving to hurt big time. Jalen Smith of the Indiana Pacers, a rookie at the time, blossoming to a very good backup big, 10-5 average, 19 of 27 from 3 on the season, first 16 games, the 10th pick of the 2020 draft, 6 playoff games played with Phoenix, had no idea what they had. Traded deadline of 2022, getting back Torrey Craig. Smith signed 3 years, $15 million with the Pacers. Phoenix declined his 3rd-year option, one of multiple previous lottery picks to happen, typical Robert Sarver being cheap. Smith also had a tough time breaking into the rotation under Ayton, JaVale McGee, and Biyombo, playing decent as backups. Smith doesn't seem like he'll be a star caliber player, but very decent, still only age 23. Abdul Nader, the former 2nd rounder 2016 draft, last played with 2022 Phoenix, way before last season's deadline, now overseas in the NBL for the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix squad, 3 games played. In all reality, the 30-year-old likely doesn't get another shot at the NBA. Suns waived him so they can make room for 6 games Justin Jackson, now in the G League. Ty-Shon Alexander, his lone season in the NBA, 6'3" 2 guard, now age 25, spent time in Italy, G League, now in Greece, after getting waived by Charlotte. 15 total NBA regular season games, 9 total points scored. Langston Galloway, amazing NBA career story, played 40 games with the final Suns, didn't crack the playoff rotation, signed and waived by Golden State beforehand, 2 10-day contracts with Brooklyn, then 10-day with Milwaukee, picked up by the Pacers, only to be waived before the start of the 22-23 season. Now 32 years old, made over $29 million in 452 NBA games, G League after, then took his talents to Italy, playing in Europe for the first time in his career. If his NBA days indeed over, putting up numbers in Italy now, not a bad way to continue a professional career. E'Twaun Moore, his last time on the NBA floor indeed with Phoenix, signed with Orlando, then suffered a knee injury, never got a chance to suit up for the Magic before getting waived, best known for his New Orleans days, looking to follow the footsteps of former role player turned successful businessman Junior Bridgman. Moore owns plenty of restaurants, property, very business driven, spoken to younger teammates about taking care of money, hasn't publicly announced his retirement from ball, soon to be 35 years old, made over $42 million in career earnings. Monty Williams, making history with the Detroit Pistons, breaking the longest single season losing streak in NBA history, an absolute travesty! The biggest coaching deal, 6 years, $78 million, didn't intend to coach again after getting relieved of his duties, but the money simply can't turn down. On verge of coaching the worst team the league has ever seen, making more than Spoelstra, for getting blown out double digits every night, bad lineups, doesn't like Jaden Ivey, who can blame him for wanting to get fired from the Pistons? Bad roster construction, Monty just a 41 win percentage without Paul. that might drop to the mid-30s after this season. From no loss November just 2 years ago to no wins November, Pistons wasn't expected to make the playoffs. Even a minor improvement from 17 wins last season looked realistic, but if Monty can't even reach half of that, an absolute embarrassment look on all levels. No other head coach destroyed their image over a calendar year than Monty Williams in 2023, having tensions with Jae Crowder, Deandre Ayton, and now Jaden Ivey, lost the trust of the locker room. His days in Phoenix already outnumbered after a disappointing 22 playoff loss, blown out last 2 games versus Denver. Doncic and Jokic took turns humiliating his Suns. Did those 2021 Phoenix Suns miss their window in contending for a title, given how poorly the team looks now even with Kevin Durant? Unless Bradley Beal gets healthy and forms some sort of chemistry, 2024 much to be determined. An interesting next couple months awaits. Devin Booker having totally different guys. How much faith do y'all Suns fans have in Book? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.